There will be no accountability for these people because the Democrats wanted to believe those lies, and now they'll want to believe the new lies about Kamala Harris and how perfect she is.
There'll be no accountability also because they were so complicit that it would damn them. If there's to be accountability for Kamala Harris, they were going, I mean, with the cheap fakes thing, sometimes they were actually just taking a cheap fakes talking point. It was the argument that was coming out of the White House, and you could trace it straight to the stories. White House would put out a statement saying it was a cheap fake. Then you'd start to see journalists amplifying this argument that it was a cheap fake. So they can't turn around and now be critical of Kamala Harris. They were Kamala Harris up until that debate when they got caught, as Rich just said, and couldn't keep up the facade anymore. And that's why to say that Joe Biden is a hero in the mold of, answering JFK's call to the country is so disgusting, because a real hero would step down. A real hero would say, if I can't be president for the next 4 years, I sure as heck can't be president now. Mm-hmm. That would be heroic. That would be the tough choice. But Kamala Harris isn't going to say that. Kamala Harris is going to keep pretending that he can be president. It's just, the next 4 years that are the problem. They're all complicit in it.
Yeah, everything you needed to know.
I would be a distraction. I would be a distraction to the run against Trump. They're not owning up. I mean, that's the thing, Rich. I continue to say the man should be 25th Amendmented. If he's not fit to serve a second term, how is he fit to stay in the office as president through January 20th?
Right. Now, you can imagine some sort of physical ailment that would make it impossible for someone to run for the presidency, but still be mentally sharp and have the mental acuity and endurance to do the job. This is basically FDR in 1944. He was at death's door. Anyone who was around him witnessed that, but he's still entirely with it. The problem with Biden is he's confused, right? We've seen it with our own eyes. All you needed to do was look at the RNC research Twitter feed, and they did occasionally, flip stuff to make Biden look worse. But you got a truer picture from that feed than anything any Democrat was saying, certainly on MSNBC. So if he's not recognizing friends in private, and he's not up for the job of doing interviews and reading teleprompter in public, he's not up for this job in private. The country needs the assurance that whoever's president of the United States has the capability to do the job. There could be a major crisis at any time, and it's just wrong for him to stay in this office one day longer.
That's the problem. Is like the world is on fire right now, right? We have conflicts still going on in Ukraine. We have the Middle East growing in terms of its seriousness and just how bad it's looking there. I mean, new conflicts potentially opening up. And we have a man who can't put two sentences together, literally, cannot hold his train of thought, cannot work more than a few hours a day, cannot stay up past 8. Emily, these Democrats, they're just going to lionize him and not admit reality, which is we're in danger right now.
And even actually, just as we're thinking this through in real time, having this conversation, I'm realizing what a disadvantage that's going to be for Kamala Harris politically on the campaign trail, because she is going to be dogged just over and over again by questions from the Trump campaign. Any debate that happens, this is just going to be constant. Why is Joe Biden president right now? Why aren't you supporting the 25th Amendment? Did he get up at 8 this morning, or did he get up at 10 this morning? When did he get up? When did he go to bed last night? This is going to be a constant drumbeat, as it should be. And that's going to be I don't know how they're going to handle answering those questions other than saying, Joe Biden made his decision, doesn't want to be a distraction. So that is, the Trump campaign is going to have the ability to force that issue over and over again, because it's one that's resonant with the American people. So the media will do its best, just as it did up until the debate, because they're so desperately opposed to Donald Trump. They will do their best. They're running like this is the existential crisis of their generation. So that won't change. But she is never going to have a good answer to that question. There's nothing you could say that's going to be persuasive to the public.
Mm-hmm. The latest polls show Kamala Harris is not doing well in a hypothetical matchup against Donald Trump, though the polls, in fairness, have been erratic. And she's not yet in the race when they're taking these polls. So, take them with a grain of salt. We'll get better polling now that she's officially getting in. But just a sampling here. This is July 16th to 18th, YouGov, Harris 48, Trump 51. July 17th, SoCal Research, Harris 44, Trump 52. July 15th to 16th, Ipsos, Harris 44, Trump 44, tied. 15th to 16th, keeping going. 13th to 16th, YouGov, Harris 39, Trump 44, and so on. If you could keep going. but he beats her in all of them. This is just from Real Clear Politics. This is the latest. You can see all the red and all the blue. He beats her in all of them. So that's now before she's officially in the race. And I'll show you some battleground numbers. Pennsylvania, this is New York Times versus Siena, the latest. Pennsylvania puts Trump up 1 in a hypothetical matchup against Kamala Harris. Right now, his Real Clear average lead over Biden in Pennsylvania is 4.5. It puts Trump down 5 in Virginia. The latest polling there had shown Trump up maybe half or a quarter of a point over Joe Biden. So that's an improvement for Kamala Harris, but Virginia's probably fool's gold in any event for Republicans. We'll see. Pennsylvania insider advantage shows Trump up 7 over Kamala Harris. Again, the Real Clear Politics average right now has him up 4.5 over Biden. So that could be a decrease in benefits for the Democrats if Kamala's the nominee. Nevada showing Trump over Kamala by 10 points, 50 to 40. The Real Clear Politics average between Biden and Trump right now has Nevada Trump up 5.6. So again, this would show a hemorrhaging if Harris is the nominee out there. And then there's Arizona, where the latest Inside Advantage poll showed 48 to 42 Trump advantage of 6 points. And the Real Clear Politics average has Trump up in Arizona 5.8. So it'd be about the same. I don't know that she is the savior, Rich, that they are looking for. And you and I both know, even though they may think they have to have her, there are probably hysterical meetings going on right now, and they have been for weeks, on how not to have it be her.
Yeah. So she is not polled better than Biden. The reason why I would expect it still to be a race at some point is Trump, we're beginning to see a little bit of the post-assassination attempt, post-convention balance. The CBS poll had him at 52 nationally. But prior to that, he was at 47%, basically, in the RCP average nationally, which suggests there's a ceiling, or at least a level that's hard for him to get beyond. And Kamala, I don't see her being a good match, woke progressive from California for Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, that Democrats absolutely need to win. But I think part of the Democratic calculation may be that even if she's not a better national candidate than Joe Biden, she's certainly a better candidate in California and New York, and sort of against expectations. The swing districts, in the House, they aren't in places necessarily like Pennsylvania or traditional swing states. They are in California and New York. And all the polling indications since the debate has been that Democrats are cratering in those places. So I think they're figuring, well, maybe she'll do better nationally. But if she doesn't, at least there's some cushion against an utter debacle up and down the ticket.
It's interesting, Emily. You've got, this is just one example, but Ed Luce, associate editor of Financial Times, tweets out the following: Trump is too old to be president. This is going to be the new talking point, right?
Yeah, it is.
This is going to be the new talking point.
Like
our nominee is, much younger. How old is she? How old is Kamala Harris? She's in her late 50s.
59, I believe.
60?
59.
Yeah, she's 59. The spring chicken compared to 78-year-old Trump. And this is an interesting turn, right, Emily? Because all the narrative of too old, even though the Republicans have really been saying it's not about age, it's about his infirmity. I personally always say Alan Dershowitz, who's 85 and could crush any of us in a debate. In any event, they'll say that it was all about age and that Trump's old, and they'll use some of Trump's forgetting names, normal stuff that happens when you're 78, which doesn't compare to Biden, but is on the record against the GOP. So how do you like that tactic?
Well, I actually think that's pretty powerful because they now have this argument in their hands of this media machine that was able to some degree, cover up Biden's age for a really long time. The media is nowhere near as powerful as it used to be. In fact, the legacy media has never been less powerful. Thank goodness for that. It is, though, still powerful. And so when you combine this idea of Biden being an American hero who is passing the baton to a new generation of Democratic Party leadership, if they have any sort of facsimile of a democratic process, low-D democratic process to nominate Kamala Harris formally, the media is going to laud that. They're going to say this is the Democratic Party's leap into the future. And, Donald Trump, again, like not popular, although he will be helped enormously against those attacks from Ed Luce by the fact that he was literally shot in the head and got right back up. And made that gesture to the crowd. I mean, that I think basically will neutralize the argument, but I do think it could send some Democrats to RFK Jr. If Kamala Harris is forced on voters through a sham nomination process. Then you just are going to infuriate so many people who say the Democratic Party is exactly what I thought it was. They're nominating a California elite. And they're not letting me have a say in it. They covered up Biden's problems for years. Go back to 2016. There wasn't a real primary. Everybody was intimidated out of running by Hillary Clinton. 2020, everyone rallied around Biden because they were terrified of Bernie, and the Democrat establishments put their finger on the scale for Biden. This time around, many Democrats said that they wanted an open process. There wasn't an open process. And now you're going to have a sham process that forces this California elite down the throats of people in Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania. You could send a whole lot of people to RFK Jr. in that case, even if, you have this massive media Hollywood elite machine pumping the discourse through of these arguments day after day about the next generation of Democratic Party leadership.
He's having a press conference at 5 p.m. Eastern time, RFKJ, and I'm sure he's going to have a lot to say about this decision. Donald Trump reacting in part, Biden was not fit to run for president and is certainly not fit to serve and never was. Sarah Huckabee Sanders, not fit to run for president, not fit to serve as president. Biden should resign immediately. Dan Bongino, 81 million votes and he's dropping out. Speaker Mike Johnson called for Biden to resign from office if he's not capable of running for re-election. If Joe Biden's not fit to run for office, he's not fit to serve as president, Johnson wrote. I mean, that's the thing. He's saying he can't do it. He's admitting, yes, he says, I'd be a distraction. And when he makes his public remarks this week, no way is he going to say I'm unfit. But we all know that that's what caused this to happen. This wasn't happening without that debate. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.